The following video is brought to you in part by the amazing Patreon producers you see before you. If you'd like to show your support, you can do so at patreon.com/616entertainment. Your support means the world to me, and I love you so much. Now let's get to it. $60,000 subscribers. Holy shit. 60,000 subscribers is what got us here today to talk about my top 10 favorite championship belt designs of all time. This topic won a subscriber milestone poll, so I know you guys are excited for this one. I'm a longtime belt mark, and like any of my other top 10 lists, remember, this is just my opinion. Yours might be different, that's fine. Leave your list in the comments, we'll talk about it. And don't hesitate to check out patreon.com/616entertainment if you want to support the channel, how you don't? But enough talk, let's get into this list. Kicking it off hot, you guys are probably about to find out that my taste in belts might be a little different than yours. The AWA World Heavyweight Championship is not the prettiest title of all time. Not even close. This is one of those belts that sometimes I look at it and I think, God damn, that's what a championship looks like. That is tradition. That is a trophy. Other times I look at it and I think, what fucking shape is the main plate? It looks like too much liquid was spilled in an ink blot test. Here's the deal though. The belt truly does remind me of the greats. This is the only world title that Mr. Perfect ever held, sadly. This is the belt that Larry Zbyszko and Jerry Lawler made feel like the most important prize in the industry. I love this fucking weird looking thing. From old school to new school, my number 9 favorite championship belt design of all time belongs to a little old company called All Elite Wrestling. We live in an age of belts that are extremely tacky looking. Some of them are just overly busy. Half of them look exactly the same. I can't do it with these things, man. AEW's World Championship looks prestigious. It looks expensive. It looks like something that these guys should actually want to fight for. This isn't the first belt to feature the 3 giant main plates type design. I just really enjoy the way it looks. If and when a replica of this belt hits the market, I probably won't buy it. But I will definitely look at it on the internet for an unhealthy amount of time. Ring of Honor has changed so much over the years, from poorly lit high school gyms to actual arenas, from Chicago to Philadelphia to the UK. Things have taken a turn. Not always for the better though. The newer designs of the ROH World title do not strike my fancy. They're not terrible or anything, I'm not a big fan. Let's dial it back though and take a look at this pretty bitch. The silver, the red, the complete lack of overdone, overjeweled, overly busy banners and eagles and fucking stars and all that shit. This belt is completely original. Well, maybe not completely original. Okay, fuck. It's a copy of another belt from the past. But goddammit, the UWF belt is another big timer. I honestly just missed this era of Ring of Honor. Coming in at number 7 on my list is the new Legacy design of the UFC Championship. When these were revealed, the entire internet were loud and clear that they weren't happy the old design was being taken away. That is, except me. I loved this thing from day one. Every single piece of this championship means something. A title defense being tracked by replacing diamonds with rubies on the side plates gives the athletes something to truly strive for. I may be alone in loving this design, but that's fine. I love these things to death. If the AWA title looks legendary and the AEW belt looks prestigious, I think the word I'd use for number 6 is classy. The Undisputed Championship debuted in 2002, replacing the combination of the Big Gold and the WWF Big Eagle belts. Chris Jericho was the first ever Undisputed Champion, but Triple H was the first competitor to hold this belt for some reason. Who knows? This beautiful bastard brings back super positive memories. I loved wrestling in the 2002 to 2004 era, which sadly covers this design's entire run, which is fucking criminal. The goddamn spinner ran as the main belt for 10 years. The big logo belt, even though it's changed slightly when the company's logo changed, has already been around for 7 years. This hurts my heart. Undisputed title, I will always love you. Before we crack into the top 5, let's check in on the comments section. What do you think? How many of you guys hate the AWA World title? How many of you just saw the new UFC belts for the first time? Listen, I love talking about belts. I'm a lifelong belt mark, so anything you have to say, leave it down there. I could talk about belts all fucking day. But now it's top 5 time, so let's crack into it. When Total Nonstop Action lost the rights to the NWA World Championship, they were stuck between a rock and a not having a belt place. Insert the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. The domed globe is a hard act to follow, but holy shit do I adore this design. In one sense, it's got every run-of-the-mill piece of flair a traditional belt can have. Eagle, check. Diamonds, check. Banners, check. Stars, check. Globe, check. It's all here. But fuck you, this one is top notch. This is another belt that didn't stick around as long as it should have, as it was eventually replaced by this horrible big gold knockoff and Jeff Hardy's, Jeff Hardy belts. I am not an encyclopedia of Japanese wrestling, not even close. What I am, though, is a guy who loves a well-crafted title belt, and I will kiss your ass if the IWGP World title is not one of the most unbelievably gorgeous title belts of all time. This specific design is known as the IWGP Third Belt, as there was a first and second belt before this design was introduced. In its fairly short-lived run, it was worn by American greats like Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle, the latter of which occasionally brought the title into TNA TV. This design was succeeded by the IWGP Fourth Belt, which is still in use to this day. I can't look at this belt too long though, or I'm going to fall too deeply in love with it and have to rework my whole list, so let's move on. Number 3, WCW United States Championship. End of fucking story. I could cut it right there, but I won't. I respect this design too much. I used to look at this belt in WCW magazines when I was a kid, dreaming of having my own replica of it. I'm not kidding when I said I would dream of it. I really would. All the time. When I think of the WCW US title, I think of Diamond Dallas Page. I think of Bret Hart. I think of Raven. This was the first belt I ever considered my favorite belt, and I think my love affair with Championship Gold started right then and there. There are few, and I mean few, top-tier prizes in sports or entertainment that can rival the sheer legacy of the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. The 10 pounds of gold, the domed globe, call it what you will, this belt has been worn by Harley Race, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. I mean, it's kind of ugly, if we're being honest. The shape of the main plate is odd, to say the least. The strap is incredibly thick for no real reason. At the same time, I also think it's beautiful. Maybe one of the best looking belts ever. I have no idea what to classify it as. I flip-flop on the visual appeal of this thing every time I look at it, which is fairly often, as I have one sitting in my living room. I truly, madly, deeply fell in love with this title when I became a massive TNA fan in 2004. This, to me, was the belt to win. Watching babyface after babyface fall to TNA Triple H, Jeff Jarrett, before it finally changed hands to Sting and Christian Cage and Abyss, are memories I'll cherish forever. That was my heyday, man. God damn, I missed that era of TNA. There was really only one option from the start, wasn't there? Number 1 on my list, my favorite championship belt design of all time, is the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, aka the Big Gold. I called it the WCW World Championship on purpose, as I am not talking about the bastardized pieces of shit WWE was using toward the end of this design's life, when the plates had shrunk to the size of a fucking tortilla, and there was more detail lost on the main plate than there were books lost in the 1986 Los Angeles library fire. What the fuck did they do? Enough of that, though. Let's celebrate the true legend. This was the ultimate when I was a kid. Nothing could top the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. I used to ask for magazines just because they had photos of this belt in the articles. The tiny Toy Biz version that came with my Hogan vs. Sting action figure 2-pack was a prized possession of mine. This was the first replica belt I ever owned, and while I no longer have that specific one in my collection, I'll never forget what it was like to actually put my hands on the WCW World title. It was the bullshit first version of the replica made by Figures Toy Company. Obviously not the real deal, but still, I felt like I was holding history, and it felt pretty goddamn good. There you have it, Dan Dans. Those are my top 10 favorite championship belt designs of all time. This was a subscriber milestone poll winning video topic, and I want to know what you guys want to see on the next poll. We're right next to 65,000 subscribers. We might crack that shit really soon. So what kind of options do you want to see on that poll? I might be able to use a couple of them, and I look forward to your votes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love you, and I will see you next time. 60,000 subscribers is wuss. What the fuck is this wuss? I can't talk, bitch.